Coro, Marti, LLUs S L Lewis PM, Reba Jr. Hi, folks. How is everyone doing? Denver, what up? There he is. By the way, I love that. I think that profile picture is hilarious. Just this floating head on the white background. Oh.
Thanks, man. That was
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're just coming in now. Hopefully everyone can hear me, and yeah, I'm excited to be here.
You sound crisp and nice.
Okay, good. I'm just walking with my dog, actually.
So we're gonna accompany you for your dog walk. I don't know.
Yeah, every day around this time, he comes up to my computer chair, looks at me with his loving eyes, and says, "Dad, let's get the frick out of here." So he kind of runs the place, and we have our routine, and so yeah, this is kind of part of our rhythm.
But the grind also never stops, right?
That's right, but that'll always be the case. I think the goal for me this year isn't how do I make more money, it's how do I become happier. And I think part of being happy, for me at least, is to have a rhythm and to be okay with the rhythm that works for me, because my rhythm runs at a different beat than maybe yours does, and maybe Bill Gates or Elon Musk or whatever. But there's always going to be somebody that beats you in the race to having more money, more stuff, more influence. But nobody can beat you in the race to just being happy. And I think that's what everybody ultimately wants anyways, right? So that's what I'm focused on this year.
I mean, also time. Like, I mean, money is great to have,
yeah,
right? But the most important thing, I mean, it cannot buy it to you, but at least it can give you access to a bit more time to spend with your loved ones or with your dog, right?
I don't know. Like, it used to be the case where like being a CEO was looked on as like, wow, that guy's the CEO of whatever. Like, have you ever been a CEO? Like, it's a really crappy job, because you're always managing people, you're always putting out fires, and there is no punching in, punching out. It's all consuming, all pressure. And so, entrepreneurship got sexy. I think back when Gary Vee started his social media platform, but now, I appreciate that hustle culture has kind of shifted to like, just focus on living a simple life and being happy. And it doesn't take a lot to be happy, And for me, we'll get into, I'm sure, talking about stuff, but like, I've had all the cars and had all the stuff that money can buy. And there's a Jim Carrey quote that says, I wish that, Jim Carrey, the famous actor.
Mm-hmm.
He says, like, I wish everybody could be famous and rich for at least 2 minutes, because then they'd realize that it just doesn't do it, And so yeah, it's just, I don't want to waste any more of my later life. Like, not something bigger, cooler. Like I Tom Brady, Tom Brady play football in money, and not because another contract. Oh, okay. Let me walk over here. Did you hear I was talking about Tom Brady?
That's one of the words I heard. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was just saying,
You
like,
cut out a bit, so I believe you. Yeah, yeah. Sorry. Go on.
Oh yeah, just like Tom Brady doesn't need more money, doesn't need another sponsorship. Why did he keep playing football then? Because maybe people on this call might say, well, why are you still in crypto? Why are you doing what you're doing? And it's like, because I love winning. Part of human nature, like as men, we love hunting. We love gathering and, look at what I got. We go back to the house and say, honey, I shot a deer. Look at it. That's what I love. I like winning. But once you get to a certain place of money, like Elon Musk is not motivated by money. That's why he can buy Twitter and not care how bad of a deal it was. He's excited to turn Twitter into an empire and to make it the X app, the all-in-one app, and prove everybody wrong, everybody that made fun of him. Like, he loves winning, and that's what I love. It's a game.
I mean, that's already a good foretaste for what's to come now. I mean, let's. I think we should get it started with the Q&A. Like, there was just
All
the usual pre-chat that we have. But yeah, so thank you all for coming. Thanks to the audience, and of course, thanks to our guest today. Welcome to The Pillars. We are a community-led space aimed at supporting protocols and educating investors for intelligent, meaningful conversation. Here we ask the tough questions you all want answered. Usually, I would now introduce a protocol. Like, I would do a quick overview for a protocol. But this time, as we already had a couple of influencers on, today I'm introducing Jonathan Seller, the face behind the FUD Farm, a YouTube channel with over 16,000 subscribers. Also a ever-growing community. Every time I'm looking into your Telegram, I see more and more people pop up. So it's lovely to have you here tonight, or today, or this morning, wherever you are in this world. And yeah, I hope everyone enjoys. We also have a giveaway that's going to be announced at some point through Mad Hatter. And I'm going to jump off the stage, and I'll let you two guys have a nice conversation. I hope everyone enjoys, as I said. And yeah, I stopped the rambling. Bye-bye.
Thank you, David. How you doing, Jonathan?
Hi, good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you very much. I'm looking forward to this conversation.
Sure.
So usually we kind of start with a bit of a background, and I'm keen to understand kind of where you've come from and the path that you took that led you to being so heavily involved in the DeFi space.
Well, I never intended to be heavily involved in the DeFi space, that's for sure. My background was actually playing guitar, singing, leading worship at my church. They used to, in church world, there usually is a full-time staff. And one of those positions, in case people aren't familiar with, churches and stuff, they usually need someone to organize all the music, whether it's for funerals, weddings, weekend services, So I was that guy. And, I've recorded music and, done all that. But my, sort of as I was, I don't know, I just became more skeptical, I started questioning a lot of my childhood beliefs, and I just didn't feel like I was suitable to be in a leadership role anymore. So this was years ago. I decided I better look into doing something else. I have a master's and bachelor degree in theology, and I enjoy talking about philosophy and religion, and I respect everybody's worldview. But I ended up starting in digital marketing. I was it's kind of a funny story. I'll make it quick. I was shopping for a mattress online, and I found this mattress called the Purple mattress. You ever heard of it?
I have not.
Okay, so it's real popular in the States, and I reached out to the company and said, "Hey, I want to buy your mattress, but if I buy it and like it, do you guys have like an affiliate program?" And they're like, "Actually, we just launched it." I said, "Okay, cool." And they gave me a unique URL, and I said, "Okay, what do I do with this?" They're like, "Anything you want. Just don't lie about our product." And I said, "Okay." So I just was like, "Okay, I'm going to figure out YouTube, how to get views. I'm going to figure out, sales. I'm going to figure out how to communicate to people because if you can win eyeballs, you'll do okay in this life, right?" And so I ended up making like, I think, $260,000 from one YouTube review video of a dumb mattress.
Right.
And then I was like, "Jonathan, you should start a mattress guy YouTube channel." So I did that. And then every mattress company in America reached out to me and said, can we send you our mattress? So I'd sell these mattresses after I did my reviews to my friends. And then I would get a bunch of people clicking referral links. So I started making way more money doing that. And then I was like, oh man, maybe I should start a digital marketing company. So that's where I made my first mistake. And maybe there's entrepreneurs in here who can relate, where you're doing something so well that you decide I better stop doing it and do something else. And I didn't have any mentor in my life to say like, bro, you should be the mattress guy and like be that guy all over YouTube, all over every social platform. But instead, my ego got the best of me, and I wanted to like prove to people I could have a digital marketing company and have employees and have clients, and I'd feel like a real businessman. But I was working in that's such a traditional way of viewing the world. We live in a attention economy now, where he who wins the attention will win the market supply. And so I ended up making a big mistake there. I gave up on that channel, started a digital marketing company. A few years in, realized there's a lot of work, making a lot of content, managing social ads, stuff like that. And so then I got into e-commerce, selling on Walmart, selling on Amazon. I was doing well with that, so I made that into a company. Then drop shipping became very, very hard to do on these platforms. So I let my clients' contracts run their course, but sadly, it wasn't the best investment. And so that left me going, well, what else can I do? And at that time, I had enough money to kind of live off. So I thought I'm just going to dabble in crypto. And then I thought, I've watched so much content online. Instead of consuming content this year, this was 2022, I said, I'm going to create, because there's two types of people, those that consume content, those that create it. And typically the ones that create it are the ones, doing really well in this world. So I was like, you got to stop being a consumer, bro. You're in your 30s. Let's go create something. So I thought, okay, I'll pick a niche. And that led me to creating the Drip Farm, which was the name of my YouTube channel a year ago when I started. And it was really just to cover my story, my documented story, investing, gambling in this thing called Drip. And yeah, so that's what led me into the DeFi space. And then I guess I can talk about the marketing strategy behind that, like how I ended up with 16,000.
Sure. There's a lot to unpack there, and a couple of things I'm definitely going to touch on. One of the things that strikes me, especially about your Q&As, or your AMAs, is that you are a straight shooter, right? You like to ask those straight questions, and that's kind of what we enjoy doing here. So I think it will be a very interesting conversation for people to listen to, because I often ask and will ask straight questions, and I'm curious to see how you come back at me. Because I imagine you're not often on this side of the fence in that respect.
Correct.
Let's go into the marketing. Sure. How did you gain such a large following? And it's also, maybe the affiliate link plays a part in that. It's interesting that you mentioned that you come from, you did well using affiliate links, because that's one of the core things that kind of runs as a thread through what you do, right? Is that there always appears to be a link attached. Do you put having those links as maybe part of the strength as to why people jump in?
Well, no, I think most people are deterred when somebody shares a referral or affiliate link, because then they think, well, they're just posting this content for personal gain, right? But you scroll through right now, go to any YouTube channel, you're going to find a referral link or an affiliate link, or there's a reason why people are creating content, right? This isn't just charity. Being a content creator is a real job, and people are getting paid. How are they getting paid? Well, it's not just through YouTube AdSense. It's by every time someone clicks a link, or someone pays to talk about a project, or a product on someone's channel, or they're trying on clothes, girls do this, and click my Amazon affiliate link. So I don't think the affiliate links is an attractional quality to anybody starting out. If you're independently wealthy, and you don't need to give an affiliate link, man, you're going to immediately have way more credibility than most of us that have to share affiliate links. But most people, I would say, understand the nature of the job now. They're like, yeah, we get it. Just like any TV show you watch, what are they doing? Well, they take a break for commercials. What are those commercials? They're the TV show's affiliates. you know, and they're hoping that you, instead of click a link, that you call the number or go to their website, buy stuff. This is just the way the world works. So I don't think there's anything wrong with it inherently. It just is, you know.
So how do you view yourself in this space? You've mentioned content creator, so I assume that's going to be your first answer. But beyond that, especially in DeFi, how do you think, well, how do you view yourself? And then perhaps how do you think you're viewed by those people that watch your content and the reasons why they might watch your content?
Yeah, I don't know. I think if you interviewed 100 people that watch my content, they'd give you 100 different answers. So I'll let them speak for themselves. I don't pay too much attention on what everybody thinks of me or whatever, because I'm just not in my early 20s trying to win everybody's approval. I get that anytime you're a leader in any capacity, anytime you're out front, whether it's an athlete, you're a little celebrity or a little dumb YouTuber like myself, you're gonna have haters. You're gonna have people that love you, people that hate you, and that's because there's a lot of people that are just miserable in this world. Their joy level is deficient for whatever reasons, and they have to take it out on somebody. And but I'm aware that in this real world, the way someone would come up to me, and I'm out walking my dog right now, like, I wouldn't have an enemy in the world. Like, I love everybody. I'm super kind to people. But, when we hide behind screens, it's easy to be keyboard warrior. Or if I talk about a project and it goes south, instead of going after the guy that made it go south, they'll go after the messenger, right? Wherever they heard it from. So I understand that. And I think there's elements of responsibility that us as YouTubers definitely have, and we should, make sure we have conversations about this. I do all the time with fellow YouTubers. But one of the things I did when I realized Drip was not my only project I was in, I changed the channel, and it took me a long time to think of the name, but the name kind of captures, you asked me, like, where do I see myself in the space? I don't mind being called Captain Fudder. I used to get made fun of because people would say, that guy FUDs everything, that guy. And I thought about that and I was like, you're right. That's what I do. That's what I want to do. I think there's a healthy level of FUD every YouTuber should have, and every YouTuber should display publicly when talking about these crazy DeFi plays. Having fear, having uncertainty, and having doubt are all part of the recipe of a good investor in DeFi, right? And to not have FUD and to just go in blindly or to hopium is ridiculous. And the one thing I want to differentiate my channel from maybe some of these other guys was, instead of shilling referral links, I'm just going to give my honest feedback, my honest questions. And if I feel confident, I'll let them know. If I feel doubt, I'll let them know. But I'm always going to overemphasize the risk. And I think that's true. If you watch my videos, you'll see this guy doesn't shy away from talking about the negative things. And what I see today is the modern scammer isn't in what he says, it's in what he leaves out, right? So I'll say that again. The modern day scammer is not in what he says, because everybody says, they say things very precisely. It's what they leave out that ticks me off to no end. And you want to overemphasize the risk, or else you are skirting your responsibility as an influencer. Like, for a long time, I was like, well, I'm not an influencer. I'm just a YouTuber documenting my journey. Well, that's true, but you do have influence. People do watch your videos. And so that made me go, you know what? Because I've been rugged a few times and I realized, man, and others did. And I was like, I got to make sure I overemphasize risk, because there just might be a newbie watching my video and he needs someone like me to say, dude, go in light. If you're going to go in, remember, this ain't investing, it's gambling.
Right. Yeah, I mean, that, and that's one of the points that I was going to bring up. I mean, incidentally, I used one of your videos as research for EMP about a year ago, for example. Why EMP money? My next big investment is a video that you did on them, and I found that fascinating, and it's one of the reasons I jumped into EMP. And I've since been fortunate enough to speak to AJ several times through Q&As and privately, and he's obviously a very bright man, and that's a particular project that's done very well for me, and they're still around. I guess the flip side of that coin,
exactly.
the flip side of that coin, however, is that, what we run the risk of doing, especially when we're giving any kind of protocol a platform, is that we run the risk of giving, especially the bad actors, the unsustainable high APYs that we know are going to go south at some point. We know getting in at the early stages is the best way. by giving them a platform, we run the risk of just allowing them to continue this cycle of churning out these protocols, and the majority of people that don't know the space particularly well often get wrecked.
Well,
how do you offset against that?
I would say the opposite is also true. If you don't platform them and talk about them in an honest way, then all the content people will find about them will be nothing but positive hopium, and you'll end up hurting more people. So I've given this topic a lot of thought and realized that, yes, I don't like, just from because there's no such thing as like the moral argument or the virtue signaling. Because if you've created a video talking about Bitcoin and how you think it's going to change the world, whatever, you are just as horrible, okay? Because everybody's down on their Bitcoin investment, or people in America, where I live, are allowed to have freedom of speech. And what we have to do is stop championing men who've become so soft, where every time something doesn't go well, they're looking to blame somebody. Now, if you're a man and somebody lies to you and tells you something that isn't true, you have every right to blame them, because they're participating in a scam. They're lying to you. They're fraudulent actors. These people should be prosecuted, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, sadly, in the DeFi space, there is enough no regulation that scammers will always abound. So we have a decision to make as content creators. Do you just let them run because they ain't going anywhere. They will always be here, okay? The SEC is not the policeman of the crypto world. There's very few case laws. If you go look on their website, they just don't do a lot in the crypto space. And I think it's because they know they don't have the regulation and the ammo to really go after a lot of these people. But I wish they did. The thing is, though, for me, I was like, I think I can save a life for the person who watches a video on some sort of like rug play type thing. Just the fact that I came up with the term rug play, I'm labeling it, I'm giving expectation, I'm letting people know this is not a legitimate project. These things will rug. But at the same time, I don't want to be the guy outside of the casino telling people they can't go in and advising them that, hey, slot machines are only good for a certain amount of time. Eventually, if you stay there long enough, you'll lose your money. Or going to a poker player and saying, hey, the buddy you came in with tonight, he brought in 500, you brought in 500. You might walk away with his money. Are you okay with that? Like, I don't want to be that guy. I think that guy is misinformed. I think he thinks he's the policeman of the internet. And really, we're all kind of like, dude, it's a casino. We get it. We know what we're doing. At least I've done polls. I've interviewed people and DM them, asking them like, hey, you realize this could be a Ponzi? And they're all like, Jonathan, no duh, buddy, no duh. And I'm like, why do people keep saying no duh? And then every time a project fails, they'll be like, bro, that was a Ponzi. And they act stupid, or they want to blame somebody. So I just don't buy that. I think everybody's looking for a scapegoat. But all of us know exactly what this space is. And for the newbie, if he watches my channel, boy, oh boy, he'll learn very quickly what this space is, because all I do is FUD everything.
Right.
I still participate in the gamble. I'll still gamble, but that's with my risk capital. I'm allowed to do that if I want. And if people, if people don't want to participate, or they just think this space is nasty and disgusting, well, guess what? You don't have to participate, and you don't have to watch my channel. That's the great thing about this world, is there's a million people that do all sorts of drugs, mushrooms, whatever. I have a lot of negative opinions about all of that. Maybe I had bad experiences. Maybe I dated someone that had that. Maybe I've seen people die from it. But at the end of the day, I'm not going to be the guy yelling at everyone saying, if you do weed or mushrooms, you are bad. No, it's not the way the world works. You allow free humans to fall on their knees, get scraped, and decide whether or not they want to do it again. Like, this is why casinos aren't shut down by the government. This is why in my state, they sell lottery tickets and take money from poor people, knowing exactly that 99% of them aren't going to win anything. It's about being an adult, informing adults, and helping them make wise decisions. But we can't control people, and I won't participate in the pandering of men who want to just blame other people for their foolish actions. Does that make sense?
It does. You raised some good points. To go to the top of the response there, I agree. giving people and everybody a platform in terms of protocols to speak, and then kind of asking tough questions that are designed to have them illustrate how well they know what they're doing and whether or not it's sustainable is key. That's one of the things that we try to champion here, is that we will speak to absolutely anybody, but we're going to ask you the same tough questions we ask absolutely everybody. Whether or not you're one of the top protocols or not is irrelevant. We'll ask those questions so people can make an informed decision.
Yeah, bro, we need more people like you. See, what if you were silent? What if you said, we're not even going to talk about the project? I'd be like, you're doing a disservice, because everybody in your group is here because you guys ask the tough questions. I think that's admirable.
Thank you. But one of the pushbacks you might get from people is that, okay, you're not telling people to go into the casino, you're not telling them to stay out of the casino, but there might be a pushback that some people will say, but you are the guy playing on the slots outside and winning at times, right? Because you're so deeply involved in this space, you are able to get into protocols at an earlier time than a lot of other people will. And
that's
with
not
that,
true.
Okay. Give me some pushback.
Where is that true? Well, just give me an example of where you got that from.
It's an observation based on how much I see protocols released by other content creators in other channels versus how much I might see it in yours. So I might stumble across something sooner in yours than I would elsewhere. And therefore I deduced that you found it perhaps at a slightly earlier stage. I'm not suggesting that people are coming to you to get you to jump in early.
No, I appreciate the pushback, and I'll give you clarity that I will not participate in a project that gives me some crazy unfair advantage. For instance, every time I do a video, typically if it's in some, like, again, I differentiate the difference between like an actual outside revenue protocol opportunity that isn't Ponzonomics. And then I call these other projects, I don't call them I call them DeFi rug play games. So I differentiate the difference between a game and a project. Now, if you conflate the two, that's where you might disagree, and that's fine. I just go, hey, there's games and then there's projects. But for me, in any project or game, I always make sure that that I'm in it, and if my deposit goes in it, that within the day, usually it's within the hour, I release the video so that no one can accuse me of having that unfair advantage.
Okay, that's fair. And if I'm going to poke the bear a little bit, because I'm finding the conversation interesting, by virtue of the fact that you have everything on a single YouTube channel, does that not automatically conflate it in any case? Because some people will be able to find EMP, which is, for example, a very good project, or Elephant Money that's still around. And I know there's plenty of people that will argue Elephant Money, is not that great. Some, I'm sure, listening now. And then you've got Drip, which is still around. But in between and interspersed between all of that, you're also going to have these gamble plays that you talk about that are super high APY, and people that are not experienced in this space who do turn to you. And I agree, everybody needs to take personal accountability, and they need to start, looking at doing more research. I absolutely 100% agree with that.
Right, and if you watched if you watched my content, you'd see that every time I do a video, I always classify what it is. And I believe that I do so in such a real clear way that there is no confusion. In fact, I'll say this is for my Rugs Play community. These are projects that I don't really see as being long-term. Maybe they will be, but I can't say they won't be. I can't say they will be. But in my mind, these things are ticking time bombs. So you get in, you get out, and we hope that they last long, but oftentimes they don't. Like, I'll say stuff like that. Or I'll say, hey guys, I'm investing in this project and it's more of a long-term play for me. And like, I always give context for what it is I talk about. And it's just like any channel, right? Like if you think about NBC, ABC, well, in the Saturday morning, they're playing cartoons for kids. And then by Saturday night, they're playing a movie.
Hello. I don't know if he's cut out for everybody else.
Next, right?
Oh, you cut out then. Sorry, I didn't catch the last 30 seconds of what you said.
Sorry, can you hear me? I got a call.
Yes, I can hear you now.
Interrupted. Well, I just was using an example of, the same channel putting on different types of content. And I used like an example would be like NBC, ABC. Like on Saturday morning in America, you'll find cartoons on Saturday morning on ABC. But Saturday night, you'll find a movie with a sex scene. Is it appropriate for them to put that type of content on their channel? Well, it's context, right? It's easy to draw up a narrative and say, how can they be getting people in on their channel using cartoons? And by the evening, they're showing movies with sex scenes. ABC is trying to sexualize our children. Like, that's an easy blog post, and it sells, but it's not accurate. It's not how the real world works. And I'd say that about my channel. Like, just go watch my content. Every person that doesn't like me, the best advice for them is just go watch my videos. What part don't you like? What is it you don't like? And that's and by the way, if you don't like it, it doesn't mean I have to quit YouTube. It means you should stop watching my videos, because there's a million people I don't like. But what I'm learning to do is what Elon's trying to teach us to do. And free speech means that I let people I don't like say things that I don't like. That is what's beautiful about the American experiment. And we should continue and champion people to have free speech, to say things and do things we don't like. That is the way. That is the sign of becoming a true intellectual that displays your cognitive development. But if you're still small-minded and say, well, I don't like him because he has different beliefs or he does different things than me, you haven't understood that, like, as a human, this is the way it is. Like, people do drugs. Some guys sleep with 15 different girls. They get them pregnant. They define family different. Some people are attracted to the same sex. Some people dress as women that are men, biological men. Like, it's a crazy world out there, but I'm not standing around or making content talking about how everyone else should live their life. I got better things to do.
Right. And yes, that's a reasonable observation. I think the ABC one is also reasonable. But, some might argue, well, there are kids' channels that are dedicated to just kids, and I suppose you can go to Pornhub if you want to see sex, right? So there is a separation of the two. So I wonder, have you ever considered, or do you ever consider or look at maybe separating the two sides of what we're talking about now, which is the degen, total degen plays? And again, there's nothing wrong with having that, free thinking thought process of, not ever shying away from it. But then also, I just wonder the optics on that in terms of a good protocol that's really trying to pioneer in this space and create something truly sustainable versus something we know is going to collapse in, say, 2 weeks' time.
Do you have an example of a good DeFi protocol? Because I don't call any of them good. That's where you and I might differ. Is I think they're all gamble plays, in the sense that if there's Ponzonomics to any of them, well, hey, whether they take your money in 3 days or they wait 60 days to rug pull you, it doesn't really matter. It's like they're both bad. So I think of the whole space. It's a casino and a gambling play. But
right, I guess it depends on what we're arguing is the definition of good.
Yeah, exactly.
If we're talking about longevity, sustainability, if we're talking about protocols that have been around for a while or run it like a business or are trying to ensure that investors are fully educated, fully informed, and know what they're getting into, then yes, I think there are some very good protocols out there.
And that there's real outside revenue being generated somewhere, right? That it's not just reliant upon new investors. I agree. Those I would love to discover and champion and talk about more so. Like, if we do a percentage, like, I think that should be front and center. I want that. And sadly, the 80% happens to be the crap out there, and the 20% is the rare find. And like, people used to say, PGV, for instance. You familiar with PGV? They'd get mad, like, Jonathan, this is a legit project. Why don't you talk about something legit like PGV? And it's like, oh, you guys are so silly. Or like, why don't you talk about Drip? Drip is legit. And I'm like, okay, sure. It's like, what utility does Drip have? It's a freaking Ponzonomic play. The price is now 29 cents. Like, yeah, it's still running. Okay, does that like you said, what's the definition of good? Because you can say, well, good projects like Drip that are still running. Okay, cool. So Drip is a Ponzi, and every time I claim, I'm taking someone else's money, and you're going to virtue signal and talk with me about why I can't do some kind of rug play coverage because Drip is so moral. It's just all virtue signaling, and I have no patience for it. It's just uneducated people that think they're like smarter than somebody else, and they haven't really given it too much thought. That's what I found.
Okay. It's difficult to kind of approach that with any pushback because I understand the thinking behind it. Outside of saying, do we not get to a point where, as a content creator, as a CEO, as an Elon Musk, there is a higher level of responsibility that whether we want to fight against it or not, and whether or not we want to label it as virtual signaling or people not being educated enough, we then start to become people who have voices that are listened to. And the minute you step into that realm, is there a point by which we have to say to ourselves, right now we have to start making ourselves a bit more responsible?
I think it's always healthy to pursue more responsibility, which again, go watch my content. I don't know how many more disclaimers and like context type sentences I can give to, hey guys, this is what this is, and I literally name my channel the FUD Farm so that people that watch me can go, he gives an honest opinion. He doesn't just get paid by promoters and then therefore they own what he says, which I know others do that. I also know other YouTubers I could name drop that aren't even in the projects they talk about. It's disgusting. And I've called them out on it, and they try to bro me up. And I'm like, no, bro, start telling people that you got paid to shill this and you're not even in it because you don't believe in it. I said, that's wrong. To me, that's called lying. So again, if someone's lying, then yes, call them out and unsubscribe and, do whatever you need to do. That's disgusting. But I look at Drake, I look at other celebrities, there they are posting their content of them gambling. Then they leave the referral link to Stake, which is a gambling website. Steve will do it. You name it. Every celebrity that's ever endorsed a product. Look at Tom Brady, Steph Curry. They endorsed me to FTX. Well, screw them. Screw them, because look at what they did to me. See how stupid it becomes? They should be more responsible. Like, no, bro, there comes a point where my responsibility is to be abundantly clear what the frick this DeFi space is. And I do a really good job at that, in my opinion. If people have specific critiques of where I didn't do that, that's where I have ears to hear. But if it's a generalized statement of like, that FUD Farm, he just shills these dumb gamble plays, that to me tells me the level of intelligence I'm dealing with. And I just don't have time to deal with little babies.
I mean, that's a very bold statement.
Yes, because it's an uneducated claim. It's an uneducated assumption. And when people make assumptions, what are they doing? They're making an ass out of you and me. And I just want people to come to me with specifics of, if I've done something wrong or whatever, let me know, because I do believe there are things that I'm sure I can get better at. But just saying this guy shills or that, like, again, you just have to be a YouTuber to know you're going to hear that every single day. It just doesn't mean anything at some point. Right. If somebody points out something and says, hey, Jonathan, I felt like you were dishonest. You said that you believed this project, or you said this project wasn't a Ponzi, and it was, or you said this developer, you did your background in him and you said he was legit and he isn't, or anything like that. Like, just show me the clip and I'll respond to a specific claim. And I think you should demand the same for your content as well. It's one thing to be kind, it's another thing to be nice. I'm all for being kind.
I gotta say though that
we don't have to be nice to uneducated trolls.
And I agree with you, but I am very cognizant of the fact that just because someone can't point to a specific does not necessarily mean that I'm not guilty of guiding someone in a certain direction. And I guess that's where the waters become a little bit muddied. And
where did I guide them? Where did I guide them to?
I'm not. It's not a targeted comment per se. So I'm not. No, I know. You have, but it. I guess just by having a place where people can discuss protocols, for example, having a place where people can see returns on investment for something that we inevitably know is going to collapse, just by having channels, they all aid towards a certain narrative, right? And yes, you can have all the disclaimers in the world, but sometimes those disclaimers, they don't give a full picture, because those are the things that people skip, unfortunately. I'm not saying it's right.
So let's take what you just said and let's flesh it out, right?
Please,
let's flesh out that idea. So I followed a bunch of stock YouTubers like Andrew Jeek, Graham Stephan, Meet Kevin. These are like multiple million followers on YouTube. They told me about these stocks that they believed in. They told me that by this date, they can see the stock going to the moon, going here, going there. I have lost multiple six figures watching stock people on YouTube recommend stocks. The same is true with the sports gambling space. There's all sorts of people that will sell their picks. They'll say, tonight we're gonna do a full sweep. You know, the Boston Celtics are gonna win. It's game 7. It's inevitable. And they'll sell their picks, right? I'm not selling my picks. I'm not doing any of that. And the thing is, why is YouTube not shutting down Meet Kevin, Andrew Jick, Financial Education, all these big YouTubers that constantly are talking about these stocks and why they're going to go here? And I mean, just type in stocks, trading, crypto. You're going to find 4 million YouTube content creators giving their opinions on what they believe the market is going to do. So if you want to change the world, I am one of them, but you're going to have to go after all of them. And I just don't think I think in America, we've accepted that world. We've said, you know what? It's like a regulator saying we shouldn't get in cars because sometimes cars get in car accidents. Therefore, we should ban it. Well, we saw how the world responded to COVID restrictions. We said, let people live, you frickin' tool bags. Like, seriously, stop telling free people how to live. You guys don't know everything. And it's the same with cars. I'm so glad in America, we decided, no, we're going to regulate cars. We'll ask people to wear seatbelts, but we're still going to let them get in their cars, even though they could die, even though they could kill me. The regulator, we let people drive cars. It's the same with this. We let people gamble. We let people go in casinos. We actually fund people buying lottery tickets from our government. The government takes away accredited investing opportunities for the little guy. So there's no such thing as like the government is moral and the people are bad. I don't begin with that concept. I challenge that concept. I think people being able to buy stocks and crypto and decentralized exchanges is the way forward. Let free people make mistakes, get burnt, decide for themselves who to date, who to marry, what stocks to buy, what YouTube person to follow. To me, that's the world I want to live in. Now, you might disagree. You might want more regulation and shut everybody up. But I just believe in the end, America runs on free speech. And it's why America is the number one place people still want to live, because you're free here. And I just got back from Thailand. Like, there's no place like this. And it doesn't mean that you're not going to have idiots protesting and saying all sorts of horrible things that are untrue, that are fabricated, like the world is flat. Like, we have YouTubers that are still telling us the world is flat. And I love it. I want them on YouTube. I want every Democrat on YouTube. I want every Republican on YouTube. This is what freedom looks like.
Is the world not flat?
Maybe it is. I'll have to watch some more content on YouTube. I'll have to watch more videos.
I hear what you're saying, and whether or not America is the best place to live, that's a whole nother conversation.
Amen. Yeah, time, it depends. Right? It's just like you said, what's a good protocol? What's a good country, right? It all depends what we value.
So what do you want to see from protocols moving forward? Like, you know, when these protocols come out, do you want your life to be harder in terms of being able to jump into degen plays? Do you want it to continue as it is? You mentioned external revenue streams. We all know that is vital for anything to survive. You know, what direction are you hoping that protocols go in that changes the way that you're going to cover them?
There's not a lot of ways to make an external revenue, right? Trading is one of them. Forex, stocks, real estate. I like the idea of tokenizing businesses' profits. So, for instance, let's say someone owned a car wash, but they didn't have enough money to do the renovation. But they said, if I raise 200,000, I'll make this car wash look like a Disney adventure. And I start seeing that on my YouTube, and I'm like, you know what? That guy, he seems like he has the leadership capabilities to start the car wash. He's proven himself in other businesses. I'd love the idea to invest in him. Now, in the States, you're not allowed to invest in him because you have to pass, be accredited investor, and it's got to be a regulated security and all this. It becomes really complex. There are crowdfunding there are crowdfunding laws that are different, but either way, I just love the freedom of Web 3.0, the ability to tokenize everything. Like, if I wanted to buy a piece of real estate, I can buy at least, instead of waiting to buy the whole thing, maybe I can buy 2 little slivers of it. Right. So I think we need more of those type of protocols and projects. real world companies with real world revenue. But you know what? We're not going to, though we will have those and those will continue to increase. But there will always be these type of Ponzi-nomic type plays, just because all you have to be is a historian to know that Ponzi's have been going since since there's a human being alive. Like there's always been a Ponzi. The US dollar is a Ponzi. Bitcoin is a Ponzi. It's all reliant on new income coming in. So if you want to play the Ponzi game of like, well, this is a Ponzi and therefore it's bad, again, you're showing me your intelligence level. There's a lot of, you can make a great case that pretty much everything is a Ponzi. At the end of the day, I don't care about throwing the term Ponzi around. If in my mind I'm like, I'm playing a game or this is gambling, then I treat it like that. Like I really do. So if you see me going anything on my YouTube channel, these are not investments. Like today, I just bought $178,000 worth of TQQQ, which is following the index on the NASDAQ. Like that's an investment. Putting 5,000 into some stupid gamble play for me is like, I'm just gambling. Risk capital, it's stupid, makes for good content. Let me be the stunt man. You don't have to follow. That's fine. It's just like I watch this guy, he plays slot machines all day on YouTube and he loses like millions of dollars, but his sponsorship with the casino is probably like double that. So, right. But it makes for good content and it's compelling. And for me, I go, man, I want to go on that digital casino and play those slot machines. That guy just won $1 million. He knows that, but he creates all these warnings. YouTube allows him to broadcast. They don't shut down his channel. He's not doing anything illegal. It's freedom, baby.
Do you think your ability to throw clearly large sums of money at different things gives you a sense of freedom that others are not going to necessarily feel, and therefore they might be more attracted to your content based on the fact that they can see what you're doing and might have some aspirations of following in your footsteps and eventually getting to the spot where you're at? Because you speak very freely about how you were selling mattresses and you make it sound very easy. I'm sure it wasn't. And I've had a business myself. It's a grind to do that.
Right.
Having to work hard, doing it every single day. And that's one of the unspoken things people don't talk about. Do you perhaps think that it is a position that you have is a position obviously of privilege at this point?
And no, because my starting point was just like everybody else. I've lost hundreds of thousands of dollars, probably just like everybody else. But
irrespective of whether or not you've worked hard for your money, once you get to a stage where you're comfortable, you're privileged, in my opinion. You're privileged over a ton of other people that may never have the opportunity to get to that stage. So, I don't mean that you started from a privileged point, but in terms of your life now, you are one of those privileged people, right?
Again, it's context of, well, who are you comparing me to, right? So if you compare me to Elon Musk, I don't know, am I privileged or is he privileged? But if you compare me to some of the poor people I just met in Thailand, my gosh, I get back on the flight and I just cry because I just go, I can't believe what I have. I just feel so blessed. I'm like, it's amazing. But this is why happiness is free. And this is why I promote being happy rather than trying to get more money. Because in Thailand, they're freaking happier than they are most. I mean, if I interviewed 100 people in Thailand, they'd all be poorer than Americans mostly. I mean, I'm making a generalization here. So for anyone listening from Thailand, relax. But I'd be like, they're richer in community. They're richer in being sincere in their relationships, having deeper connections off the screens, not loneliness. They're not mentally ill. They're not on antidepressants. So what country is better? Like you said, like I know I shouldn't have said.
I was just about to say, Thailand sounds like a hell of a place to live, huh?
Exactly, bro. But at the same time, you're right. Like, I'm not going to ever say, oh, I'm not privileged. Like, no, I feel that way every day. I feel so grateful, blessed, whatever word you want to throw on it.
Of course, if you compared to one of the top 1%ers, no, you're not in as privileged a position. If you're comparing yourself to 95% of the rest of the planet,
but see how this game, see how this game of whether you're privileged or not just is a stupid game. That's my point. Is like we got to get out of like the media wants us to think through that lens, right? They're constantly trying to divide us between the privileged and the not so privileged, and they always, it's like how racism is born, and these like none of us are born racist. We don't care, and most educated people literally just don't care about what gender you are, if the woman is a CEO of the company, if or if the president is black, or like, we just don't care anymore, right? It's freaking 2023. If you're gay, I don't care. No one cares. But the media's whole job is to like clickbait the heck out of us. And the best way to clickbait people is to create confrontation and conflict. And they do this and they help us by getting us to think, well, this guy got where he is because he must have done something wrong to do it. And it justifies either our laziness, it justifies either our victim mentality. So I just avoid any of that. I am not focused on your life, anyone else's life except mine. But in saying that, I do realize if I was born as a white guy in America, oftentimes it's a little bit more easier than being born maybe black or a minority in the ghetto in some of these major cities. I have a head start that maybe that other guy doesn't. And I should be mindful of that. And I should look for ways to help a brother, to help anybody out, That's just being a good human. But no, I don't
I think you're right. I think the media does try to clickbait people. I think you're correct. And I'm saying this tongue in cheek, even though I might sound a bit dry, but isn't that what YouTube is all about? Clickbaiting people into watching a video?
100%. Yeah, exactly. That's what we're all doing. Anyone that creates, anyone that's ever created music and told somebody about it, anyone that's ever wrote a book and went on a tour to try to sell it, welcome to capitalism, baby. This is the attention economy. So I don't look down on people that try to get clicks, but if you're being dishonest and you're lying, your thumbnail lies and it says, I just put $5,000 in this and you didn't, then no, that's not clickbait. That's you lying, you freaking douche. That's the stuff I can't stand.
You've mentioned people lying several times. You've been very cautious not to out anybody, and by all means, feel free to either A, swear if you want to, and B, out as many people as you wish. Nothing is censored here. So
I actually don't swear. I never swear, man. Okay. You'll never hear me swear.
Fair enough. In which case, I'll swear for the both of us, and you can just out the people as we go along. So one of the things that I noticed in one of your videos is that after, especially the stable fund saga, and then a couple of other protocols in quick succession that went south, you released a video in which you said you were going to pledge to the DeFi space that you wanted to change things, you wanted to change your approach. And part of that approach was a contract that you wanted the protocols that you might speak to, and I'm going to guess speak to specifically in Q&A format, that you were going to ask them to sign a contract. Where did the inspiration for that come from?
Yeah, so this happened, I was in Arizona, and I was in an Airbnb, and I remember I did a AMA with a guy, I think his name was Brandon, from a protocol called Circulate Money. And we had done an AMA, and he just seemed like, the most honest, straightforward guy. He was from Canada, which was where I was from. And by the end of the interview, it was just like, wow, this is going to be great. He talked about his background in trading, and I don't know. I've since then I've obviously taken the video down to avoid anybody going into it or what. I don't even know if the website's up, but obviously the day that happened, I took it down, and I haven't looked at it since. But either way, he was able to convince me and a ton of other people up to about $2 million, and then the next day he rugged us, and that made me go like, okay, what would you do differently, Jonathan? Like, yes, I know you didn't rug. Yes, I know everybody wants to throw stones at you because you're the messenger and you're the guy that they can see. Like, they can't see the guy that didn't have a face on your computer when you did an interview with him. They just heard a voice. And that's when I said, okay, let me see if I can rally a bunch of YouTubers around and we'll create like a DeFi pledge. And so I pitched that. In fact, I met with like Murdoch DeFi. He came out to my Airbnb. I talked with James Pelton and a number of others and opened up this group, and we put together a working document. But you'd be surprised, man. It was hard to get consensus. I had to keep changing things. Like, we had one where it was like, we won't put a referral link in the description of our videos anymore. And that was like, screw that. I'm not doing it. I'm not signing the pledge unless you change that. There's no reason we can't have a referral link. It's like, okay. So we added that caveat. But the one thing we all agreed on was not doing AMAs with founders that aren't doxed and TKYC'd. I came up with that term, just a thorough KYC, meaning not just their faces and address, but also like their wallets. And so that was something, I guess, we I changed, or at least tried to change. I don't know if anybody else is really doing that, but I've kept that commitment, except for I don't know if you saw, I did one AMA a couple weeks ago with a group with Bitforge.
Right.
And the guy, again, he committed to come on my channel. I said, hey, I don't do AMAs unless you're fully docked. You show your face. Is that going to be a problem? Nope, for sure. We'll be there. So I said, okay, great. This is the date and time. We set it up. And then off camera, before we started, I said, okay, I'm going to, you got to show your face, man. He's like, whoa, man, camera's not working. I was like, oh, I haven't heard that one before, right? Like, really? It's stupid. And then I said, well, bro, I said, I don't feel comfortable doing this AMA, because I don't do AMAs unless you show your face. And he's like, well, how about this? I'll come on. Again, it's my camera, and he's like sending me photo, trying to say, look, bro, it's really the camera. And I said, okay. He's like, I will come on again if you'll have me. And we set a date and time. I said, okay. And so for me, I was like, what do I do? So I thought, okay, I'll go ahead and post the AMA, because if anything, but I told him, I said, my first question is going to be, hey, how come you're not doxxed? That you knew that you were to be doxxed. And I showed a portion of, and then I made sure to emphasize that in the intro of my AMA, as well as the AMA, where I let him basically tell a story about how his camera didn't work. I thought that would do more good than not, by at least showing that, rather than not posting the AMA at that point. So that's the only thing that I look, and by the way, they rugged a few hours before he was to come on, which was like 2 days later, to do the AMA. In fact, the day of the rug, that morning, he confirmed the time and said, yep, I'll be there. Because I was like, man, this guy better show up, or else I'm going to look like I did an AMA without a guy with a face. So whether that was the right call or not, I can totally see both sides. I just decided I'm going to go ahead with the AMA because I want people to see how stupid this guy sounds saying his camera's broke.
Right. Yeah, and that's fair. And I can understand why you would want to be able to challenge him on that live, but unfortunately, like you said, it rugged. One of the things that I noticed about that video, and you said you like people coming to you with specifics on things that might frustrate them. This is one thing that I have to confess frustrated me a little, is that there are other people that have been using contracts, content creators that have been using contracts for some time in this space, a year plus. And the feel I got that it was from your video, and this is only a mild criticism, if at all a criticism, is that it was something that you were totally unaware of, and for you it felt very much like a fresh new thing that you were going to tackle. Whereas, having looked around the space, I could see there were some people that were already doing it. Were you aware of these guys that were doing it? Did you at any point approach them and say, look, how could you guys help? Because that seems like a really convenient place to start in that particular instance.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. And sadly, no. I mean, by the fact that one of the YouTubers showed up and said, hey, I need something like this myself. So he helped me work on it. James Pelton, the others, I just wasn't aware that there was like a working document. And I thought, well, hey, if me, who, I don't have like the biggest channel in the world, but like in the DeFi space, I got one, like, I wish someone would have told me. I'm happy to adopt their version. I think a guy named Yabonk reached out halfway through and said, hey, I have a document that I use. And I said, bro, that's amazing. I wish I would have known. Like, hey, help us in this group, put this thing together. And he's like, well, I think at that point he was like, well, I already have my thing. So, and his was a little bit more strict. His was like, I don't post a referral link, I think. And so I was like, that's not going to work to get consensus. So, because it's just like, in Congress, right? You got to give up some things to get the deal done. And so I was just trying to do like a compromise, like, hey, this is a vague working space, but for all the upcoming DeFi guys, maybe it's something we all can take responsibility, send them this and say, hey, welcome to YouTube. Saw your DeFi channel. This is the thing that we all are doing to protect one another. Read it. Let me know your thoughts. We can't dictate what people do. Not really our intent. We want to honor free speech and what people do, but this is just a working document to help make the space a little bit cleaner. And what part of that document, I don't know if you have it in front of you. It's been a little bit since I've reread it, but I think there's definitely there's a space that says we need to differentiate in language whether or not this is a protocol or a project versus a DeFi game, because there are different standards for DeFi games than there will be for protocols. And I think for the most part, at least, there's a guy that follows me. I had like this YouTube course helping people get set up and started. He took my course, and now he has a bigger channel than I do in the DeFi space. And his thing is, I've encouraged him to use the same type of article or working outline. He does more of the DeFi games, all these like rug play. Like, he does them all. And I just say, bro, overemphasize the risk. Like, you need to be so clear that this is not an investment. It's not. And like, if you were to read my DMs to amongst other YouTubers and whatever, like, I'm this guy. I'm the guy that's like, because, and then the other thing you need to know, like, I probably could have like at least doubled my income by saying yes to certain projects or shilling referral links with less FUD. You know, like so why don't I do that? It's because I have a conscience. I don't want to screw anybody. You know, I want people to be able to have fun and gamble like they do at a casino, but I don't want anybody to get hurt and wrecked and go in too heavy. That's stupid. I really don't want people to do that.
Yeah, I think the contract thing is a good step forward. And you mentioned your bonks. He was one of the people I was thinking about, and he's taken people under his wing, such as Serenity, who I think is listening right now, and they all use the same blueprint of contract. And I think
I think I'm actually going to be working with him on a future project. We're talking with same guys, so I think I'll be, tuning in with what he's got going on a little bit.
Well, one of the things he said to me is that you are one of his favorite YouTubers. He loves your content.
Oh, that's so nice.
You're hilarious. So I thought I'd pass on that compliment.
Well, bro, I realize where I'm at in the space of YouTube. I'm a nobody and a nothing, but I'm okay with that. As long as
with 16,500 subscriptions, I don't know if you can call yourself a nobody anymore. I don't buy that for 1 second. I'm afraid.
Would you say that I'm privileged or?
I'm just kidding. I would say you're a privileged somebody who lives in one of the best countries on the planet. How's that?
I want to know where you live because I want to live where you live.
I live in the UK. I'm in the UK.
That's cool.
So, I love the UK. I'm an Englishman. So do you obviously say you do a course, so you take people perhaps under your wing or you guide them in the right direction. And it brings me back to that word that you use to conflate, right? Again, do you think this space just needs to move in that direction of having everything under one umbrella, and it's down to the individual to sift through the information and make sure that they are doing what they can to find the right information? Or do you think this space needs to start to grow up in a tiny bit and learn to maybe separate some of these pieces of information so that people can because not everybody is going to have the time, the energy to put into looking at various videos or going into various discords.
This is why I supported Truth Seeker's mission to do the Wallet Watcher, to create a tool that was easy to look at. I like companies that do thorough KYCs. I'll champion that. But at the end of the day, like, this is a free market, and I want the market to remain free. Just like I like capitalism, and I think people ultimately, if you give them enough time, they're pretty smart, and people will figure it out, and people will vote just like they vote with their feet. Like if someone doesn't like a professor or a pastor at a church, like, they vote with their feet, they leave. And it's the same with YouTube. They'll just stop watching that guy. They'll be like, that guy's dishonest. They'll unsubscribe. That will continue to happen. And I think as a YouTuber myself, I should champion the guys, whether it's having them on my channel or, shouting them out. I think those are practical ways that we can champion, people that are doing it the right way, quote unquote, right way, right? It's all subjective, but
in which case we look forward to a shout out on your YouTube channel at some point.
Hey man, I've been really impressed. Been really impressed with your interview skills. Like, you seem like a really great guy. Like, I'd love to subscribe to you if you have a YouTube channel or whatever. Like, I'm just new to what you guys got going on, but really impressed. Well,
that's very kind. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, all of what you're speaking to is, and the whole conversation and where it's been geared towards is exactly what we're trying to do here. It's unbiased education, and we'll ask tough questions. We'll ask, good questions or what people might
Well,
find
but
easy
bro, the
questions.
one thing you're doing that others don't, like you let them speak. Like, and hopefully now after this interview, people have they're able to understand maybe a differing perspective, or maybe it's the perspective they adopt. But either way, like, it's platforms like this where you get an influencer off the camera, because in a way we're all playing a role when we have that camera on, right? There's an element of acting going on. But with me now, like, you and I could have a beer and you and I might disagree on, hey, I don't think you should cover any of these rug plays whatsoever. If you give them a platform, I just think it's ultimately bad for everybody in the internet and all that. I can still have a beer with you and go, hey, I disagree, but I totally understand where you're coming from. And I celebrate your perspective. Like, that makes a lot of sense as long as it's reasonable and you've got your reasons, like, why you believe that. That's cool. But I don't need to demonize you. I don't need to hate you. Like, no, like, there's plenty of love in my heart for people that disagree with me or see the world a little bit different. That's what we need more of in the world, Trying to get everybody to see the world like you do is just a stupid, failed mission to begin with.
Right, agreed. And of course, we let you guys speak when you come here because it's your platform, it's not ours, right? We're just the conduit for information and your voice, effectively. So,
and the thing
go on. Sorry, after you.
And the thing I would encourage is let's say someone watches you or watches me and doesn't like us. The best thing they can do, create their own channel.
Right.
And create a channel that is all about, like, the way you would do it. And that's why I created this thing called the FUD Farm, is because I saw a need for a voice like mine that overemphasizes risk. I want to FUD everything. That's why I create content. And if I stop, guess what? Someone might watch one more Schiller video and they won't have mine to kind of offset it. Now, I'll still gamble, and people know that. Like, I'll attack a project and then I'll put $2,000 in it. Like, what's up with that? It's like, well, it's up to him. And I'm trying to model free speech. This is a casino. It's like me going to the casino, a guy's playing a slot machine, and me giving him a speech about how bad the slot machine is. He's definitely going to lose, blah, blah, blah. Like, we just don't do that. It's like, it'd be like me.
It's an interesting space that we operate in, and it's still very new. And I think that's why content creators, spaces like this, and investors are all still trying to find their feet and understand the dynamics of what's going on. Because
but when you cover this stuff, do you call it investment? Like, I never call this, like, investing. At least if I do, I try to correct myself, because there's no such thing as investing without regulation, my friend. This is still gambling. This is not a real asset class.
And that is a technical argument route that we could go down. Yes, I agree.
Exactly.
And you're right when you say that it isn't an asset class. Do I call it investing? Yes, because I'm erring towards the more positive aspect of the space and where I'd like to see it go, rather than beating down on the negative, which is the fact that it can be a gamble. I think it's implicit by virtue of the fact that it's called DeFi, and buzzwords like degen are rife throughout the space, that it is a gamble with the money. But at the same time, I do believe that there are very good actors in this space who are working towards it being an investment that can return on your money. So, that's the reason why I use that terminology.
You've got these Ponzi patrol type characters that will call everything a horrible thing as long as it's an unregistered security. Well, I don't know of too many that are. Do you know any NFT projects that are registered? Like, we're playing in a gray area. We still don't know. Is this a security, a commodity? I mean, I've read through the SEC documents. They use language that's conflictionary, meaning they'll call it like a speculative asset. And then I'm like, wait, why are you calling it an asset? I thought we're not an asset class. Like, so even their paperwork is archaic. They know it's a gray area, and it's why they probably are handcuffed to really, if you go read through their case laws with the SEC, and it's often about someone that is shilling a celebrity that shills a coin or an NFT project, and either posts a photo that's misleading or fraudulent. Like, they'll say this is going to go to the moon. Well, again, go through all my content, find one thing where you'd find a guy like me say something so stupid. I'm way more careful than that. I don't want frickin' show up in a courthouse one day and someone play a clip. I make all my videos as if I'm sitting in front of a courtroom and a judge is watching them. Like that's how you have to create content if you're a YouTuber. You got to know your laws, know what to say, what not to say. And at the end of the day, if you're out to scam people, like if I was out to scam people, bro, there's better ways than I can do it. Trust me, I've had opportunities to be a shady character, make multiple. Bro, if I launched my own project, do you not think I could raise multiple millions right now?
Right.
Why haven't I launched my own project? Because I'm not going to carry that weight and screw over people. Like that's an idiot. I'm not starting my own thing like that until there's regulation clarity. If I had complete compliance issues, I have lawyers that agree, it's all good. These people that start projects, raise capital, and then rug pull or it fails, I'm like, dude, you know how easy it is to get sued? Like, you better lawyer up.
Right. Yeah, and
By the way, calling people scammers on the internet and using defamation, and if it can become a criminal act. I know people right now that are the policemen of the YouTube DeFi space that are in massive lawsuits. They're not disclosing it. And I love that they're in lawsuits because you shouldn't attack someone, call them a scammer, unless you have actual evidence. You can say, I don't like him. He has got an ugly nose. I think this might be that. But the moment you label someone a scammer and that they have committed fraud, it's defamation. If you look through all the points of defamation, there's a guy on YouTube who already has a $300,000 legal view because he's an idiot and he did defame somebody and the guy won't drop the lawsuit. And this guy's got millions of dollars. His name's
no one listening.
Spencer Cornelius.
Okay.
If you look at his channel, he's just a proud YouTuber that went after the wrong guy, and the guy's like, yeah, you totally did defamation, and he tried to like settle and go, okay, I'll take the video down and all that, and the guy's making an example of him saying, nope, I'm sick of defamation, stop. And I would just say, if you're a fellow YouTuber, like, again, you'll hear me say, guys, I think this could be a Ponzi. That's as far as I'll go. I will not say this is a Ponzi or this is a scammer, just because, again, I'm playing in front of the judge at the courthouse, and I don't want him, my lawyer or their lawyer, to play the tape and say, Jonathan called this guy a scammer, and he's not. Because if there's 1% doubt that he might actually be a good character, like look at Crypto Program with Ed Zambardi, right? I mean, I've ROI'd on that. Everybody that got in when I got it. But dude, if you were to ask me over dinner, I'm like, it could be a Ponzi still. I just don't know. I've been in DMs with Ed. He promises me it's not. Everybody's making 25% a week, but like, I'm a digital marketer, and those returns, consistent returns, are crazy. 76 million has been raised. Can you imagine? But showing a guy's past and saying, well, he went to jail before and he did this, and it's like, dude, that's just bad journalism, my friend. You could easily it's the narrative, man. So
I've heard you use journalism a couple of times in some of your videos, and yes, I agree that in your videos you are very careful not to say certain things, and you do always make sure that you say that this is a risk. You know, so credit where credit's due. That happens in pretty much every single one of your videos, I noticed. But I have heard you use the word journalism before, and I'm curious, do you see yourself as a journalist to an extent?
No, I just keep using the language of I'm just a dumb YouTuber documenting my journey, because the moment I adapt the language of journalism, it makes it sound like I'm attempting to be some kind of professional content creator leading people toward financial products. So I definitely am not doing that.
Is there a point by which you think you might get to a stage where you have to automatically move into that realm? I mean, how many followers would it take?
I don't want to. So again, if we're just speaking from a legal standpoint, I don't want to give my prosecution lawyer any clickbait where he can say, clearly, does this sound like a guy documenting a journey or a guy truly giving investment advice? Like, I'm not going to give him that sentence out of his mouth. It's going to go against me. So I'm going to play again the legal route, make sure I protect myself. And most YouTubers do, because it's so easy to sue anybody today. You can slap suit people, put them in all sorts of legal flaws, and I want to make sure if someone were to do that to me, it would be thrown out immediately, you know?
Yeah. And again, we are, as a space, we advocate for making sure that if you say something, you've got to have absolute proof. One of the things that is going around the space at the moment.
Both ways. Exactly.
Sure. And one of the things we're noticing is, you know, for example, the stable fund. And there are videos that are circulating in which they claim Michael or whoever Michael was has been outed.
I've seen it. They better be right, because guess what? If they're not right on that, oh boy, that guy can sue the heck out of these people. That's how they'll make their money. Sue the heck out of every YouTuber that's accused. Like, I hope somebody one day accuses me of doing something fraudulent or whatever, because one, I'll never ever do that. I have enough money. I'd never want to scam anybody. I used to be a freaking pastor. Like, it's just, I'm not trying out to, I don't want to do that. Okay. It's not in my blood. But if somebody were to make a video calling me a scammer or whatever, oh boy, they better lawyer up.
It's a dangerous road to go down for sure. And I think what's interesting about the conversation that I'm having with you now is that you're very firm in your beliefs on what you think is right and wrong, and you're quite combative when it comes to what you want to defend as being right. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
How else should I be? Yeah, how else should we be as men, right? As men,
Right.
we got to go to war, at least, you know. We got to defend what we believe.
Yeah, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that at all. And it, you know, there's a strength in that, and we've spoken to a lot of your strengths. What do you think is one of your weaknesses in this space?
That's a great question. Man, you're good at this. I just want you to get big. Like, you need to do this more often. Any way I can help, let me know.
Thank you very much.
It's just a great question. Bro, I think for me, I think there's still an element of I am not, it's weird, right? Because at what point does someone consider themselves financially free? And I think as a man, there's always this feeling in me, maybe you feel it, where it's like, I just need a little bit more. I just need a little bit more. And I think like I'm still in this crypto space to try to make more money, to, you know, hopefully make an ROI on this project, that project. And honestly, like, this space is not something I go home and talk to my mom or your grandma about, because it's like it's kind of a crummy little space. Like, I think you feel that way. So it's not something I'm like proud of, I guess. And it would be cool to have like something that you just really are proud of. But when I'm talking about these crypto DeFi projects, it's hard to be like, I'm so proud of these developers. I'm so proud of this, like, this project and what they're doing. Like, so I don't know. I don't know if that answers your question, but it's something I think about a lot.
It does. Which will bring me into my next question as well, is that, and I think a lot of listeners, perhaps because you're so outwardly combative, might not necessarily get to hear very often. There are a ton of people that create a narrative, particularly around some of your videos. There are people that create a narrative about what it is that you cover. As just a human being, as a person, does it take a toll on you? How does it feel? I guess a lot of people aren't going to know what it's like to be on the receiving end when you're doing something that you believe is just, you know, you're right as a person that lives in a country with freedom of speech. You're not trying to guide anybody in any particular direction. You are trying to do the right thing in terms of the terminology that you're using through the videos. You're trying to make it as transparent as possible that it is a gamble. You use that word throughout a lot of your videos and constantly. But as a person, what's it like being on the receiving end of some of the vitriol that gets thrown in your direction?
Oh man, I mean, the day after that Circulate rug, I was pretty low, man, and I was like, "Well, you didn't do anything wrong. You interviewed a guy, and he's the one that did the thing." But I was like, I gave a scammer a platform on my channel, and then, you know, my friends were like, "Did you know he was a scammer and you gave him a platform?" It's like, of course not. Well, then what do you have to be? And it's like, I feel bad, not because of guilt. It's not like I did something wrong. It's just because a lot of people got hurt, and and they got hurt by watching a video that I did. That's why I'm associated with it, and it just makes me feel dirty and crummy and horrible. And it's like, well, what would you have done differently? It's like, nothing. Hindsight's 2020. I don't know. Like, I didn't know, and that's when I was like, you know what? I'm gonna ask a bunch of people if there is something I could have done. And I did talk to people, and they're like, well, maybe you should only do interviews with people that show their face and are doxxed. And in my mind, I was like, well, it's crypto, and a lot of people, it's okay. They want to be anonymous. But at that point, I said, you know what? No, they can go do those interviews on other people's channel. I'll just make sure if it's a legitimate project, you got to show your face on my, you know, channel. Like I did with the guy. I just released a video on Spritz, which is, you know, the CEO. He's an MIT grad.
Yes,
I had an awesome
I listened to
conversation.
it.
Yeah, just a great guy. And it's like, I want to do more of that crap. That guy's moving crypto forward. And at the same time, it's like, if I do want to gamble in some of these rug plays, and we all know, hey, it's probably a Ponzi, and we're all aware of that, we're playing and taking time off, that's fine. But I'd rather that become more of the less of the driving part of my channel. Honestly, like going forward, I want that to probably be less. But but when people make fun, it doesn't bother me. Like if it's a direct, like they make fun of maybe how I look, or like I don't care. I'm 38, and eventually you got to get over that. But if someone that knows me, like has had a meal with me, and they still don't like me, that would bother me. But most
Right.
YouTube, they don't know me, right? They know a version of me. They know what the version of myself that I'm projecting. Like I'm playing a role here. But when people do truisms and vagisms, like, oh, that guy shills, or that guy, he's the rug farm, or that guy, like, that's okay, because those are just vague truisms or whatever that people say, angry people, trolls, like, you can't stop that, so that doesn't bother me. But
I think it's an interesting approach to take, that you're outright saying I'm playing a role, and whether or not that role be the likable character or the heel, it is a role, and you're projecting a certain character to the people that are watching your content. And maybe this space needs to start to learn a little bit about, and these conversations obviously help, but learn that it is a role that you're playing, and behind that role sits somebody. And of course your aim is to get more subscribers ultimately, because that's what your YouTube channel is about. It's not necessarily going to be the main goal, and it's not where you might not go on.
That's you saying that, because if I wanted more subscribers, there's definitely different marketing strategies to take and things not to cover. And I lose subscribers when I cover any gamble play. Like that doesn't help the channel at all. I should be do reaction videos, or like I could pay for subscribers by paying for ads, which I've never done. I know a guy who's done that. He's got more subs than me. I'm like, bro, I saw in your analytics, like you totally paid for subs here. And he doesn't disclose it, and whatever, it's fine. But I mean, I feel like I'm not, when you say playing a character, I said that, like, I don't mean like I'm being someone I'm not. It's just that you're only seeing one version of me. So when the cameras are off and you and I have a beer, I'm gonna probably be a lot more quieter, and I'm more introvert, and I want to hear your story. I want to talk. Like I'm not like all about, like, the other thing is, like, nobody knows except you guys. Like I made $178,000 trade today. Like, because nobody cares about that stuff on my channel. I think they care about the stupid DeFi stuff. So we'll keep that channel. Maybe I'll launch another channel and focus more on real investments. And
I think a ton of people would be interested to hear that, for sure.
Yeah,
and
maybe.
Of course, you are not projecting a completely separate character. It's a heightened version of a characteristic that you have.
Yeah, I like that. That's a really good way to put it. Man, you're good. Somebody hire this guy.
Thank you. But for the people that are listening and have watched your videos, of course, that's something that is interesting for them to hear, because I think it's worth them being able to deep dive into who you are, so that they can perhaps, having watched some of your videos early on and then not come back to them for a while, and then watched a couple, I had a certain idea of what you might be like in my mind. And then when I was researching and had to deep dive, I can see the tongue-in-cheek way in which you're delivering some of the stuff that you're delivering, and I can
start I don't take myself too serious. Yeah.
Right. And the more I delve into the videos, the more I can see that tongue-in-cheek aspect of it. But that's also because I'm consuming a lot of content specifically to do with you. And I think, it's interesting that those that don't put in that effort to listen to all of the content, that they might not pick up on it. But go on.
Most of my haters are people that don't watch my videos. They just watch a thumbnail and a headline, and they go, "Oh, he covered Circulate Money. He covered crypto program. He evil." And it's like, if you guys were to watch the content, maybe you'd have a different opinion, but that's okay. I'm okay with that, because that's an uneducated troll. It's when someone comes with me with a specific critique and says, "You said this," or "You implied this," and I take issue with it, that I want to have ears to hear. I really do. I want to be able to be humble enough to say, "Hey, I need to consider that. Thank you for pointing that out." Like, I want to be that guy. But at the end of the day, like, I also, like, you can be a guy that's known for what he's against, and some people's whole YouTube channels, their whole lives are all about, "I don't like this, and I wish he would." You can be known for what you're against, or you can be known for what you're for. I want to be known for what I'm for. I want to be lighthearted and say, like, "Hey, you can have a healthy life and gamble a little bit of money. You can go and play in crypto and DeFi, and If you can buy Pepe coin, like, you know how many videos were on Pepe? Like, somehow that's okay, but I can't talk about a gamble play. But you're going to shill some. It's just fake virtue signaling, and I won't have it. I just won't deal with idiots that literally will say it's okay to talk about Pepe coin. Do you know that when I sold my Pepe coin, that I was taking someone else's money? Do you understand that? When I sold Pepe and celebrated, hey, I made however many thousands on my trade in Pepe, I just took it from some other buddy. Like, that's what happened here, folks. Someone else was my exit liquidity. I'm allowed to talk about that. You all would think that's a great video. We love this guy, but I can't talk about it's fake virtue signaling. And this is why your channel is so important, because there's 204 people that now can check themselves and go, is that what we're doing? Like, why am I okay with one thing, but I'm not okay with this? And maybe I should just love everybody, let everybody do their thing, and figure your own thing out. I'll tell you right now, nobody else is thinking about me as much as me. And I'm just focused in on, like, how do I be a healthy, happy human being? You know, you're doing the same thing.
And you're right. Virtual signaling is a big problem in this space.
Bro,
again,
you can get so many views if I made videos attacking another YouTuber or doing response videos on my haters, dude, I can get so many views. I can monetize the heck out of that. I just don't want to be that guy, because then I'm known for what I'm against, and he's always just, I don't like this. Did you see that's a Ponzi? Imagine making videos calling everything in DeFi a Ponzi. It's like going to a gym and pointing out all the basketball and saying, like, going to a basketball game and saying that guy's playing with a basketball. Do you see that? He's playing a basketball right now. Everybody knows, you fool. What the frick? You, like, we're at a basketball game. This is what people do here. Again, I'm shouting, but I'm really just trying to have fun with it.
No, it's fine. Listen, having fun and being passionate is what we want, and it makes for an interesting conversation.
Yeah, so exactly. I'm trying to make this a good interview for you too.
Exactly. Yeah. Thank you. Don't shy away from that. You know, I think that
I think you're.
Yeah, you're right in a lot of the things that you're saying. Whether or not there's scope to splice some of the more
the nuances,
the grounded aspects of the characteristics that you have, and the more quieter aspects in those short videos, so that people are also picking up on that as well. You know, that feels like a natural way to also grow an audience, but also let people know, actually, this is what I'm also about. I'm not just this that you see. I'm also.
If you were the 207 people listening to this whole interview, I want to give you guys more space to speak into how I create content than anyone else right now, because you guys have listened. You guys have listened. You've heard my context. You've heard my story. And I think for me, I want to, like, leaders are learners, right? So I want to be able to turn critics into coaches, but there's a way to do it. If you just go, oh, that guy, he shills, that guy. Well, you're not trying to help me. You're just trying to, like, get views by using my name and telling me I suck. Like, we get what you're doing, but you are asking me thought-provoking questions, and then the next step is to keep me accountable to this conversation. Or if you find that there's something I said in a past video or something that you guys come to me and say, hey, Jonathan, man, I really feel like you did this, and I don't know, it came across this way. You might want to change this. Like, I want to be open to that 100%.
Great. Look, I'm aware that I've had you for an hour and a half now, so we're going to start running the competition. One of the things they're going to have to do is follow your YouTube channel. We're just going to post the link in the stage questions.
Bro, I don't have. If somebody follows my YouTube channel, do you realize how happy I'll be? I've had the lowest subscriber growth the past month. Nobody cares about me anymore, so this will be a big ego boost if somebody hits subscribe.
Hopefully. Well, yeah, okay. So forget the 170K you made. That did nothing for the ego. One subscriber on the YouTube channel will do it.
Trade. Brother.
You made a trade. Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah, if I wanted a big ego, I wouldn't have corrected you. So hopefully people go, why did he correct him? It's because I don't care what anyone thinks of me. I don't want you to think I'm awesome. I'm not. I just made a $178,000 trade. Doesn't mean I'm profitable yet.
Right. That's very fair. Thank you for the correction. We don't normally do this, but perhaps there's someone in the audience that might want to jump up on stage and ask you a question. Are you okay with that? And if it's a particularly offensive question, I'm just going to remove them immediately. So if anybody tries to mess around, I'll kick you off. But you know, put your hands in the air if you do want to ask a question. Come up, say hello. While we're running that giveaway. In respect to this conversation, is there anything that you might have had in your mind that you thought, actually, I'd really like to cross that point, and we didn't get to cross it?
No, I didn't know what to expect. I just feel like you've been really professional, and it's been a fun conversation. So thank you for that. I appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate you coming in. It has been a fun conversation. Hopefully, we can do this again in the future because you've got a great personality, and I think a lot of people are perhaps missing that. Obviously,
Well,
a ton of
bro,
people recognize it because of the
if
subscriber count. But
I had such a great personality, why am I 38 and single? Come on.
nah, I think your
Something's
dog will
obviously
disagree
wrong.
as to whether or not you're single.
Oh no, I'm single, man. Trust me. Go do your research. You might find some. I actually dated a girl that got sued by Donald Trump. That's a whole story.
Oh,
My
really?
ex-girlfriend. Yeah, my ex-girlfriend got sued by Donald Trump. Guess what for? For defamation. She used to be on Miss USA, and
Right.
the next day she went on the Today Show, which is like a big morning show over here in the States,
Mhm.
and said that Miss USA is rigged. They already know who the winners are before the competition even starts. Well, dude, Donald Trump's organization didn't want to put up with that, so they sued her for $2 million. And then the day of the trial, you can look at this all up, guys. I'm not making crap up, but anyways, the day of the trial, her lawyer said you don't need to show up. It's more of a preliminary hearing thing. Well, the judge said if your client isn't here, but is willing to go on national TV, well, judgment for the Trump organization for $2 million. And so she got sued $2 million in her early 20s. Isn't that crazy?
It is. That is wild. Okay, so I'm not seeing any hands go up. Oh, one hand has come up, so someone's going to jump up. I've just seen that your bonks has been kind enough to drop in and listen, so I'll relay that compliment one more time. Is that he did say that you are one of his favorite content creators. He really does like what you do. You're super
That's
entertaining.
so
nice. He really enjoys watching you. So yeah, I'm sure he's too busy to jump up now, but I thought I'd pass that on. Dude, it's been a fascinating conversation. I've really appreciated you coming in. Thank you. I hope we can do this again at some point.
No problem, man. Thanks for being so respectful and asking great questions. And again, if there's anything I can do to help promote what you got going on, or there's like a podcast called like CEO or something. You remind me of that guy. Like, you should do this, man. Like, get in front of all the YouTubers, whatever. If you need an introduction to anybody, let me know. I'll definitely tell it was a great experience.
Well, that's very kind. Thank you so much. Well, thank you. Thank you to all the listeners, of course. I hope some people have jumped into your YouTube channel and subscribed. I'm sure they have. And until next time.
Like and subscribe.
Exactly. We have one hand that's just gone up. Hold on. Let me just bring him up.
Is it my mom? Hi, Mom.
I don't know.
Just kidding. She's not on Discord.
Hello?
Hello.
How are you doing, guys?
What's up, brother?
I'm doing fine. I just had a very wonderful program from you guys. And I want to ask a simple question. Are you hearing me?
Yep.
Yeah, can hear.
I want to know, how can I be successful like you?
I didn't quite catch the question.
He wants to know how he can be successful like you. The $1 million question.
Well, how does he define success? Maybe I'm not successful. Depends how we define it, right?
Success now. You're successful since the way you talked and the way you said you will not present like Ponzi scheme. You need to know. You need to how can I put it? Like, you need to understand, or you need to know that that person that you are trying to promote is not a scammer.
So I guess one of the great things about having a YouTube channel is it does give you access to usually the devs, the people behind these projects. And so I think my contribution to the space is the ability to bring them on and do what our friend here did with me, and that's ask the straightforward questions, give them a platform to speak, have them show their face, and ask the questions that an average investor might want to ask. So I guess that's one of the things I enjoy about having a YouTube channel at this point.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, dude.
Yep.
All right, Jonathan, thank you so much. It's been great. Let's do it again, and have a fantastic rest of your day.
Hey, if somebody right now subscribes to my channel and in one of the comments on, like, let's go the most recent video, you say, hey, I listened to you from this is called the pillars, right?
Yes, correct.
Yep.
Yeah.
Go do that. I'm going to pick somebody and I'm going to send you a bunch of XRP, because apparently XRP is going to moon within the next couple weeks when the legislation comes out. They think they're going to win their case and it's going to moon. Who knows? But I'm going to send you some XRP just to your community. So you just comment,
Right.
and then I'll respond to one of you, and I'll get your wallet, and I'll just send you a bunch of XRP, because I love the 201 people that would waste their time listening to me. So thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you. All right. I'll keep an eye out for those comments and see how many people do jump in and comment. Yeah.
All right, man. Love you all.
All right, dude. Well, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much. And let's do it again.
All right, brother. See you. Bye.
Take care, man. Bye.